press record on this button. So remember, if it's too much standing and you feel that you want to sit down, then I've got a little chair here. All the moves to start with, at least, we could do most of these moves sitting down as well as standing. But to begin with, we'll set up our standing posture. So feet together, toes to 45, follow with the heels, and then a quick look down at the feet to check that they're about 2 fist distance apart. And then we're just going to set up our body weight distribution. So just moving from the toes to the heels and back again. I've just got that little sway going on, just moving my body weight around. And then I'm going to finish with equal weight in all of my foot triangles. So thinking of your foot, big toe, little toe, heel, like a triangle. And you want equal weight in all 3 corners of both triangles. So just take a minute to see how that feels. And then go up into the pelvis. And you want to do that little pelvic tilt. So we're just rocking the pelvis back and forth. And like I said, all of these things, we could do them sitting down. So I have my feet in position, feet facing forward. And then I could do the pelvic tilt, if I move my arms out the way, there, sitting down. So I can do exactly the same thing, standing or sitting, depending on how we're feeling this morning. And on the last repetition, just tuck your bum under slightly, tighten the pelvic floor, and imagine your belly button pulling away from your t-shirt so it tightens towards your spine. And then picture your rib cage and imagine your rib cage floating up above your pelvis so that it lengthens the gap between your ribs and your hips. Then roll the shoulders back and down. And the next stage is to focus on where we place the head. So push the chin forward and pull the chin back. So it goes forward and back. And again, all of this can be done sitting down. So at any point, if you feel the need to sit back down, then sit down. I'm going to finish with my ears pulled back. So imagine someone's grabbed you by the ears and pulled your head back so that your ears sit over your shoulder, hip, and ankle. And then breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. And as you breathe, let your tummy inflate and deflate. So we get that lovely feeling of using our diaphragms. Then on your next in-breath, pull the shoulders up to your ears and drop them down. So as I breathe in, I pull my shoulders up, breathe out, drop down. And I'm just getting the shoulders to rise and fall. Up and down. There we go. And again, all of this could be done in the chair. Now I'm going to finish there with the shoulders back and down. Nice little bit of release of the tension. And just turn my head to look over one shoulder. Then come back to the center and turn my head to look over the other shoulder. Now as I turn, I'm trying to keep the shoulders still. But also, and if I step closer, you'll see what I mean, keep my chin on the shelf. So I'm not letting my chin drop or tilt up, but rather run my chin along the shelf from first one side, round into the other. Equal number to each side, and then finish in the center. Now I'm going to keep my chin still, and just tilt my ear to the shoulder. So my chin is the pivot point as I just drop my ear from shoulder to shoulder. So it's almost like I'm looking at you quizzically. What? Like that. As I drop my head side to side. Now next time I'm going to drop my right ear to my right shoulder. With my left hand, I push down to the floor. And then I take my right hand all the way over my head and get my fingertips on my left ear. And then ease my head across. So now I'm getting a bit more stretch through the neck. Then release and do the same the other side. So I drop my left shoulder to my left ear to my left shoulder. My right hand goes all the way down to the floor, and my left arm comes across my head and just eases my ear down and onto my shoulder. So again, the stretch is into my neck. Slowly coming back into the center, I'm going to drop my chin onto my chest. So now I'm nodding my head forward. I'm going to interlace my fingers and rest my hands on the back of my head, gently encouraging my chin onto my chest. And of course, all of this I can still do seated. So I'm pushing gently down with my arms, but at the same time lifting gently up with my head so that the back of my neck is working actually. Then I'll stop the push-pull, breathe in, and as I breathe out, I let my chin go deeper onto my chest. I'm still tucking my bum under, still pulling my belly button towards my spine. And then if I continue to pull down, but at the same time lift my head, my neck heats up further. Then I'll stop, breathe in, and as I breathe out, my chin can go even further onto my chest. Now, whether you're sitting or standing, I don't mind, but just take your hands off your head and keep your chin where it is. Then just allow your upper body to roll forward and down. Now again, you could do this on the chair. You'd have to separate your legs a little, but you can roll further forward and down. If you're standing, just keep the legs as straight as you can and let your upper body relax. If you're sitting, you go between your legs and let your back stretch. Then as you breathe out, tuck your tailbone under, round the back, and gently rebuild your spine, either to standing or to sitting. But remember to come up through your neck. So when you finish this, you finish as tall as you can, and you can feel that the back of your neck has had a little stretch. I'm going to reset my standing position, and then as I breathe in, bring both arms forward, out, and down. So my arms come forward, out, and down. If that feels okay, then little by little, start to get the arms to go higher. And as the arms come higher, gradually add in a little bit of a stretch across the chest and into the back, so that I'm starting to stick my chest out a little bit. Now, if that's too much for the arms, just don't go so far, but still concentrate on sticking out your chest a little bit. So we get the chest and the upper back involved. Now, on the last repetition, let the arms fall down by your sides and then gently bend, first one way and then the other. And again, you could do exactly the same thing if you're sitting on the chair. So you could just bend first to one side and then to the other. Trying to keep, regardless of position, trying to keep the hips and the pelvis really still so that there's no movement in the hips. All the movement is through the spine. And then finish in the center, and standing or sitting doesn't matter. Fold the arms in front. Now, without moving the arms, twist your ribs, first in one direction and then in the other. And again, sitting or standing doesn't matter just now. We do exactly the same thing. One of the things to look out for here is the elbows going round, but the ribs not moving. There should be no movement in the elbows, no change in the arms as the ribs rotate. A little bit side to side. And when you've done an equal number to each side, if it feels okay, bring your hands behind your head and pull the elbows in and out. Now, the higher up I have my hands and the more I link my fingers, the harder it is to move the arms. So if I take my arms a little bit lower to the base of my neck, it's a little bit easier to do. And this is a nice way to stimulate that lymphatic drainage underneath the armpit. We know that that's a good move for us to do. And we do around 8 repetitions, and then I'm going to let the arms gently drop back down to the sides. Once the arms are down and reset, again, still nice and tight in the center, just let one arm swing gently. And this helps us release the shoulders. So any tightness around that shoulder joint, we can get rid of with a little swing. Then we change arms and do the same with the other arm. And again, sitting or standing, the same rules. Don't let the body move. Keep the tummy nice and tight. And when you've done one arm on each side, try both arms at once so that you're letting them just swing and we get a bit of movement into the shoulder blades. Now, on the last repetition, fold the arms back to where they were. And as you breathe in, squeeze the shoulder blades together. Now, this time, I'm not sticking my chest out, but actually, I'm squeezing my shoulder blades together. So rather than sticking out my chest, I'm trying to mobilize my shoulder blades. So I'm getting a little bit more movement out of my shoulder blades. And that just helps free up that scapula and free the shoulder joint. All right, so we'll do about 8 repetitions. And then when the elbows are next out, keep them out and bring the arms all the way down to your sides. And what I want you to do here is about moving the shoulder. So with the arms down, try to rotate from the shoulder. And notice I'm not moving my wrist, nor am I moving my elbow, but I'm trying to make my arm move from the shoulder. So round and back. And see what range of motion you can get from rotating the shoulder. Now, if that feels okay and you'd like to make it harder, then you can gradually bring the arms higher. And that makes it a lot more difficult for your shoulders because now they've got to also lift your arms up. Look out for that. Try not to do that. Keep your shoulders down as we get that rotation. All the way up and then all the way back down, rotating from the shoulder. And when you get back down to the bottom, go back to having those elbows bent. And then here, I want you to just take the arms out and in. So now we're starting to lift by using the shoulders, but try to keep the shoulders themselves down. It's really tempting to lift by lifting our shoulders to our ears. If I keep my shoulders down, then it's more like I'm pushing my elbows out rather than lifting them up. On the last repetition, we're going to go for roughly 8. On the last repetition, hold the elbows in at your waist. Yeah, so I look like I'm going to carry a tray. And then again, from the shoulder, try to rotate out. So I'm trying to turn from my shoulder out. It again, very tempting to use your little hands as paddles, but instead keep the arm the hand as an extension of the elbow and rotate from the shoulder. We're trying to get that improved mobility around the shoulder joint. Good. Now, equal number on each side. I think I do one more. There we go. And let the arms drop. Now, give the arms a little bit of a shake. And we're going to take a moment to play with the lower half of our body. Remember, you can still be in the chair for this. So at any point, if you need a seat, take a seat and we can do it from the chair. Now, looking at the feet, check they're in position. And the same is true if you're in the chair. Sitting up nice and tall or standing tall, pull the belly button towards the spine. And then pedal the heel. So I'm going to lift first one heel and then the other. And I'll do exactly the same thing standing. Lift one heel and then the other. But you know, because you've done it before, that those heels, the lifting of the heel is down to pushing the knee forward rather than lifting the heel, so that we're getting the hips to stabilize. Now, if that feels okay, and the same if it's in the chair, try lifting both heels at once. Excuse me, there's my front door. Hello, thank you. I did warn you. He'll be coming to the door in a second, but he's got to get in the lift. So straight up and down. Now, when you've done a few of those, if you're standing, and I'm going to go and answer the door to my DPD man, I'd like you to please just bend and straighten the knee. Now, if you're sitting, you've got a nice little opportunity here to stand up and sit back down. Okay, so you rise up, push the floor away, and then sit back down into your chair. All right, and if you're standing, no chair, then you sit down and stand up. If that begins to feel okay, then when you're next, oh, excuse me, here we go, standing or sitting. Got my candle. When you're next standing or sitting, stay either in the chair or stay up on your feet and lower the arms down to the side. So you should start to feel like your ankles have begun to warm up or at least mobilize. Now, if you need a little bit of balance, then go and hold on. And I'd like you to see what it feels like to stand on one leg, pulling up the knee. Then do the same on the other side. If you want to stay in the chair, then of course you can do exactly the same thing in the chair, pulling up the knee, first on one side and then on the other. If you're in the chair, I need you to look out for that lean back. All right, please don't lean back. Please stay nice and tall. If you're standing, you're looking out for leaning over. And also, of course, if you're standing, you've got the additional complication of your balance. Right. Now, next time when your leg is up, keep the leg up, hold on if you need to, and then extend and bend before putting the leg down. So the knee comes up, straighten, bend, toe, ball, heel as it lands. So think of how your foot lands on the floor. Toe, ball, heel of your foot. And exactly the same thing if you're sitting. So you can do exactly the same thing. I go up, out, bend, down. Up, out, bend, toe, ball, heel. Now, we're just going to do roughly 8 to 10, so 4 or 5 on each side. And when you've done that, reset either your standing or sitting position, because your feet have probably gone wandering off, so you want to reset them back into position. Now, from here, from your standing position, tuck your bum under, and again, see if you can just breathe out and hinge forward. Now, this time I'm just pushing my bum back. So I'm going to flatten my back. And then digging in my heels, I'll stand up. Let's do that again. And if you're on the chair, you'll need to take your feet a little bit wider. And as you breathe out, hinge forward, pushing your bum back. And then as you breathe out, push back up. Squeezing the glutes to come up nice and tall. So hinge forward and then stand up. And when you are standing, you can rest your hands on your thighs, the same as if you're on the chair, if that helps. Now, on this last repetition, we're going to stay forward and down. So if you're standing, you would be here, resting your hands on your thighs. I want you to let one arm dangle. And with that arm, just draw circles. Now you have got the opportunity, if you don't want to support your weight, you could rest your hand on a chair or on a table as you circle that arm. Now do maybe 10 circles in one direction and then back for 10 in the other. If I was sitting, I would do the same thing, but I would have to have my arm between my legs in order to get the best range of motion. When you've done one side, let the other arm circle, maybe 10 clockwise and 10 anti-clockwise, just letting the arm circle its way round. It's almost no effort in the arm at all. It's almost that kind of perpetual motion with the arm. When you've done your circles, just let your body drop down slightly so that you get a little bit more stretch in the back. And again, you could do the same thing on the chair, just letting your body drop before, as you breathe out, tuck your tailbone under and slowly roll back up to standing. You should start to feel that the arms and shoulders are beginning to release a little bit. So we've got a little bit more to do with that. So now we're going to hinge forward just like before. You can rest your hand on your thighs to give you a bit of support, or on the chair, or you can stay seated. And this time we're just going to swing the arm backwards and forwards. Now we practiced this earlier on, so we're going to do it again, swinging the arm back and forward. When you've done around 8 with one arm, change arms and do the other. I can do exactly the same thing, leaning over my legs in the chair. If that's better for you, then go there. And then both arms swing. Now I'm trying to get my arms about the height of my head, whether I'm standing or sitting. And this gets a bit of blood into that joint and helps heal anything that's going on around our shoulders. Then on the last repetition, I'm going to fold my arms underneath my body and squeeze my shoulder blades together. Now, if I'm sitting, that's a little bit more difficult. So I would let my arms hang either side of my legs and then do the same thing. Squeeze my shoulder blades together. So my arms come under my legs and up to the top. Imagine you've got an orange between your shoulder blades and you're just trying to squeeze that orange. And you can do it whether you're standing or sitting. Now on the last repetition, just like before, we're going to drop down. And whether we're sitting or standing, we just take a moment to stretch the back. And very slowly, as we breathe out, push through your foot triangle and roll carefully and slowly back up towards standing. When you get back up to the top, roll the shoulders round, back and down, and check in on the feet. Now we're going to take the feet so that the toes are back and the heels are back underneath the hips. And then what I'm going to do here, I'm going to do a little bit of a test for our flexibility. And if this is too much, I'll give you plenty of options. Now, if you can, put one hand behind your head. And with the other hand, see if you can tuck it onto your tailbone. Now, if straight away you think, oh no, that's too much, then instead of going behind, go in front. Okay, so same position, either behind or in front. And then lengthen the arms out and swap over, either behind or in front of your body. So we breathe in and then breathe out, so that I lengthen and bend. Now, tucking the arm to the back is quite difficult for our flexibility and requires some mobility through the shoulder joint. You may find that just leaning slightly forward is enough of a change to make it easier for you to move. And what should happen here is that the shoulders and the arms should start to ache a little. We're going to do maybe 4 more like this, behind or in front, getting the arms and shoulders to work pretty hard. On the last repetition, let the arms drop, bring yourself up nice and tall, and then either sitting or standing, let the shoulders relax. So that shoulder shrug that we practiced at the beginning, we'll do that again to let them relax. Now, bring your hands together and turn your fingers underneath your chin. I'm going to pull my elbows out wide, and I'm actually going to generate a little bit of energy in here. So I'm kind of actively pushing my hands together. Then as I breathe in, I'm going to drive the elbows together and then pull them apart. Now again, some of this is flexibility, some of this is strength, and some of it is just down to our physique and whether or not our shoulders get in the way. So if your shoulders get in the way, so I know for a lot of guys, for example, this is really difficult because their shoulders are too bulky and they can't get their elbows to come together. But if it feels okay, then fantastic. Now, on the last repetition, see how far you can go with your elbows joined up before they separate and you circle the arms out and down. If that was too much to go up, then instead of going up, go forward, out and down. So you've got 2 options here. The elbows join up, and then we either continue to rise and let them separate, or instead we keep them together, we point them forward and they separate and come out and down. And our focus is very much on the out and down, trying to get the shoulder blades now to relax as the arms drop down towards the legs. So it's a nice, gentle little stretch through the shoulder blades. Now the next time when the arms come out, keep the arms out. As they drop, instead of bringing them to your side, see if you can bring them behind your back. So I'm just holding my wrist behind my back. If I was on the chair, I could just rest them on the chair behind me, or I could even hold the chair if I wanted to. Now, as you breathe out, see if you can just ease your arms off your bum. Now, I'm not leaning forward. I'm trying to keep myself still and open the collarbone. So if I don't open my collarbone, I can go to there. If I lift my ribs and pull my chest out, I can get my arms much further. So the difference is there to there. And then I feel the stretch, and I can actually feel it right there across my collarbone. Now, relax the arms down. That's quite tough. And this time, wrap the arms round and forward. I'm going to link my fingers in front. Doesn't matter really whether you hold your wrists, interlace your fingers, whatever you like with your hands. But I want you to imagine that someone is holding your hands and pulling them away from you, and you're pulling backwards. So you get this kind of hollowing of your tummy, and there's a stretch across the shoulder blades. Now, slowly but surely, I'm going to drop the arms to the outside of my legs, and I'm putting my right hand around my left leg and my left around my right, so that my arms are crossed over. Now I'm going to gently pull my legs together, but my legs will resist. And of course, I could do exactly the same thing in the chair. Pull my legs together, but my legs are pulling apart, resisting the pull together by my arms. And that gives me a nice stretch into the shoulders and across the middle of the back. Now uncross the arms and rest your arms on your legs. And I want you to push your bum back and lift your chin so that you flatten your back. Then round your back and pull your belly button up. Now again, I could do the same on the chair, but I probably want to put my hands on my legs here. So I'm going to push back with my bum and flatten the back, and then round my back and straighten my arms. So I'm getting some mobility. Now you may well recognize this. This is essentially a cow to cat position that we might normally do on all fours. We don't perhaps have quite the same range of motion, but we do have the ability to mobilize the spine. On the last repetition, wrap your arms either around the back of your legs or under the chair, and imagine trying to stand up, but your legs are obviously stopping you from standing, so that your back now is really rounded, and you're getting a lovely stretch through the spine. You can do exactly the same thing on the chair. Wrap your arms around the back of the legs and imagine trying to pull up, but the legs are stopping you. Then from there, let go, drop down. And for the last time today, roll slowly up towards standing. Rebuilding your spine, hollowing out the tummy, rounding the back, and slowly but surely coming up through the neck, shoulders back and down. Now, just before I let you go, a couple of little lifts of the shoulders up and down to relax the tension in the neck. A little turn of the head over one side, center, over to the other side, center, then the head, ear to shoulder, center, ear to shoulder, center. And then just drop the chin onto the chest and just feel that neck lengthen. Then lift back up to the center. There we go. That will do for us today. Nice little bit of release around the neck and the shoulder.